Hey guys, it's me, Julia, and in this video, I'll be going over practice test number 2, no calculator section, question 19. So let's get started. So in the XY plane above, O is the center of the circle, this one. And the measure of angle AOB is pi over A radians. So there might be a lot of things you don't know yet, but let me explain. So this Pac-Man thing right here means angle, and whatever's in between the two letters on the sides, so in this case it's O, that's the angle that the Pac-Man is showing. So it's showing this angle right here. So essentially whatever that's being sandwiched, or whatever's in between the sandwich, is going to be the angle that the description is trying to tell you. And what's a radian? Well, a radian is another way of expressing an angle. So it's nothing, it's just a fancy word to express or a fancy way to express the angle. And a whole rotation is 360 degrees, and that is going to equal to 2 pi radian. Well, what's 180 degrees then? Well, it's going to be pi, because it's half of 2 pi. So that's good information to keep in mind. And what is the value of A? So it's asking us for this highlighted A right here. So we need to find the angle first and then convert it into radians in order to find the value of A. And from this, we know that this is a unit circle question. And let me show you why. So probably the easiest way to find the angle is by knowing the unit circle. And of course, you can memorize it if you want, but there are ways to find it. Okay, so the College Board is not going to give you this, unfortunately, but you can figure out in these two steps, or a step maybe. So the SAT is gonna test you on mainly these two triangles, types of triangles. There's a 45 triangle, so it's gonna be 45, 45, 90. And the other triangle is the 30, 60, 90 triangle, as you can see. And what's written here, these x's and this x root 2, these are the ratios, okay? So it can be a 45, 45, 90 triangle. Here. It can be also found here. And I mean, yeah, here too. So just like that, as long as it's 45, 45, 90, these are the ratios that apply. And of course, all these x's need to be the same. Okay. And same applies for this 30, 60, 90 triangle. These are the ratios. And these are given in at the beginning of the math section, but it's better if you memorize it because you will encounter these a lot. So how would we use this knowledge to figure out the angle? Well, first of all, we need to know this length right here, because as we know this length, we'll know this length too, because whatever whatever that's from the center to a point in the circle, it's going to be the same. It's not going to change in length. So let's find that out by using the distance formula, which is this. And we can use this because we already know x1 and x2. We know y1 and y2. Why? Because this is going to be our x and y's. So x1 give me 3 minus 0, right? Because we're measuring it from the origin, which is O. O is the center of the circle. We're giving that for a reason. So it's just hinting us to use it, okay? And that's going to be minus 0 squared. It's going to be all. And then it's going to be plus y1, which is 1, minus 0 squared. And that will change into 3 squared plus 1 squared. And that will be, well, if you've watched some of our older videos, you'll know that the square root and square will cancel out. And that's going to be 3 plus 1 root 4. And that's a perfect square, fortunately. Whenever you're given a root, you're trying to find a number times itself. Like what number times itself will be 4. Well, since this is a perfect square, you can have 2 because it's 2 times 2 is 4. And then you just take one of the pair and then put it out. But it's same applies for 16. That's going to be 4. And yeah, even if it's like 12, you can still do 3 times 4. And since 4 is a perfect square, you can take that out and leave the 3 in there. But that's just basic square root, and you can go more in depth by searching it online. But yeah, for now we have 2. So now we know this length. That's going to be 2. And that's going to be 2 as well. And this is going to be 90, right? So from this, well, we actually don't even need to know, right? Sorry, this part doesn't matter because we're not measuring that. We know this too. And we know that the x is root 3 and the y is 1. So we can use these points to find the other lengths. So just roughly drawing that here, that's going to be 2. And what do we notice from here? Well, we definitely notice something similar to what we just did before. We can use the knowledge from here and find the answer. Why? Because there's 2, 1, and root 3. We know that it's a 30, 60, 90 triangle. Because this is going to be the ratio x. And remember, you need to do 2x. So that's going to be 2 times 1. And that's going to be root 3 times x, right? Which is 1. X is 1 in this case. And 2 times 1 and root 3 times 1. And that's going to be 30. That's going to be 60. And that's going to be 90 degrees. Well, what's angle AOB? We know that it's this angle here. We know that it's 30, but we're not finished yet. We need to convert this 30 into radians. Well, how would we know that? Well, we already know how, like, the radians of 180 degrees. So we just construct that. So we know 30 degrees, and then we want to convert them into radians. We know that there's 1 pi in 180 degrees, right? And we need to make sure that we need to make sure that the pi stays in the denominator and the degrees stay at the bottom so that we can cancel things out and the pi will remain, which is going to, this is the radian, and this is the radian, this is the degrees. So we cancel 0 out. It's going to be 1, 6, and that's going to be pi over 6 radians. And since we're already given a template for ourselves, it's asking us pi over a radians. Well, what's a? It's asking for pi over a. We got pi over 6. We know that a is 6. And that's going to be your answer. A is 6.